Inside Music fans, there are two wolves. One wolf represents your love for the band's past material and the enjoyment it has brought to you, and the other wolf represents your wanting to hear their new music. Fans of the Mars Volta, which wolf will devour the other? This new album is going to divide the fan base. This isn't Mars Volta of days gone by writing 20-minute long progressive rock songs laced with cocaine-fueled guitar solos. No, that band is gone. Instead, with the long-awaited album, we are introduced to the Mars Volta, a band with a new sound. It's Mars Volta version 2.0 with electronic and spacious sounds. The new album has been long-awaited since the news of the band reforming has surfaced earlier in March this year, and after many years, we had our first taste of new music. I've done reactions to all the new singles they released, so I'll make this part abridged. But my reaction to Blacklight Shine was positive, despite the short run time. Graveyard Love left me apprehensive about the direction the band were taking their music, and Vigil cemented my thoughts, which at first was I didn't like the song, but it grew on me over time. Speaking of time, it has been 10 years since their last album. I mean, Rammstein waited 10 years between albums too. It's nearly as big as a gap as Tool's album Fear Inoculum. The main difference is the band was still together and touring. For all intents and purposes, the Mars Volta had broken up, with Omar and Cedric pursuing solo ventures, but sometimes working together on other ventures, in particular under Omar Rodriguez's solo stuff. Now, I haven't heard Omar's solo work, and there is a plethora to pick, but I chose to start at Lights from Blind Worms, Pious Swine, to gauge the in-between times. Gone are the complex jazz rock fusion and saxophone instruments, instead replaced with a more electronic pop sound, with only 2 tracks on this short album being longer than 4 minutes. This album also sees the return of original bassist Eva Gardner, who was in the band in the early days and contributed to some writing of their earlier material, but not the recording process due to personal issues. With the stylistic changes, this album also serves as a restart to the band and addresses the separation of Church and Cedric. A lot of the songs on this album seem to be addressing his time during and the aftermath of leaving the Church of Scientology, which is one of the issues within the band at the time they had split. The great songwriting, however, does leave some of these songs open to other interpretations. As mentioned before, the album takes on several electronic elements, and for a time I hardly even listened to the guitar work here on offer, because for an album that has a lot of focus on minimalistic sounds, there is a lot of layers to hear and worthy of many replays. For example, the song Que Dios te maldiga mi corazón, or May God Curse You My Heart, is the shortest piece on the album. And the start of the song sounds like an older song sampled into it, but that could be the band's editing of their tracking, I'm not too sure. So if anyone wants to correct me here, go right ahead. Then the second half introduces that lovely guitar and its fuzziness, and Cedric's vocal delivery is on point. Sure Story has this amazing sad atmosphere as soon as the keys start playing, and the drums play it slow with the guitar work. It's so smooth with this somber undertone. Tremendous work, really. A lot of these tracks are minimalistic, and not many have heavy guitars, if any. The closest guitar piece I found on here was Equus 3, which is a workhorse of a song. Pun intended. Other than that, Blacklight Shine is a spectacular and feels organic in its flow, but so does this whole record. This album is very difficult to rate. If you are a fan of old, you will likely hate it, but if you enjoy Omar's solo works, then you will likely enjoy this offering. Part of me does hate this album, and part of me feels like this was a major letdown that should have been presented under his solo projects. Looking back at their previous album though, it was probably no surprise they would take the band further into this style. On the other hand, I did enjoy this album and found it rather refreshing. Yeah, there are no face melters here, but it's still a very good listen from start to finish. And at 44 minutes, that is really easy to do. I feel that this isn't a true Mars Volta album. I appreciate artists doing new things. You have to. But it's a walk on a nice edge to keep old fans happy while trying new things out. At least when Rammstein and Tool dropped their long-awaited albums, they were still sounding like the band they were. I can't say the same here, but as I've said before, I did enjoy what I've heard on this album. I feel this rating is going to change a lot over time, but overall I will be scoring this album at 3.5 million chilies on the spicy scale, with my favourite tracks being Black Light Shine, Equus 3 and The Requisition. The Mars Volta did well here to subvert my expectations upon hearing this album. I know I won't be alone when I say I wasn't expecting this style, but I'm not sure if many others will say it's still an impressive album. Let me know your thoughts on this album below. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of 5 Minute Reviews. My name is Chilli, do the socials, and everyone, stay spicy. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Live Listen Erased. And if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with all your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our Chilli Con Carnage Crew so you can get notified for all the future videos that we put out, as we put out videos every Friday. Also, we are on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter over at Live Listen Erased, so make sure to tune in over there. And don't forget to like this video so that our manager can stay very happy.